Welcome, everybody. This is Wrestle Geeks. We're back with the return of TNA, the return of Wrestle Geeks. I am the Geek of Geeks, Trevor Firth, and I'm being joined by the modern day Viking, Jay Scriven.
How we doing?
Excited for TNA, man.
Yes, very much so. Excited to reform this and do this again.
Yeah, of course. Took a bit of time off, had some stuff going on, but with the return of TNA, I mean, it felt right.
It did feel right, yeah. It was needed.
Yes, and so today we're going to be covering what happened at Hard to Kill 2024. And I'm just going to start off by saying, what a pay-per-view.
Oh, absolutely incredible.
It's a great start. Great start to a new era.
There was some matches I wasn't really keen on when I was first hearing it, but yeah, just the whole show. Excellent.
Oh, absolutely. So we're just going to jump right into the show itself. We're going to talk about the new titles as they become relevant to the match we're talking about. Figured that'd be the easiest way to do it. And we start off with the countdown, which what I enjoyed is that it instantly went into a match. There was no play some video packages talking about rivalries. Just nope, right into Rich Swann versus Steve Maclin, which I thought was a great first match.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely fantastic. And the fact that it went straight into a match, you don't see that very often. It's normally a lot of talking, but this was perfect.
Yeah, everybody was with Impact TNA. Wow, I'm gonna have to do the adjustment now. With TNA having the last month and a half-ish of just playing hidden gems, best of moments. Like, we haven't had any new content in a while, and you could tell that they knew how hungry the fans were, and that's starting the countdown when a match was definitely the way to go. Swann versus Maclin was the reason why I think it was a great way to start the pay-per-view is because it definitely mirrored the main event with Shelley versus Moose. So you had the small fast guy versus the big strong powerhouse guy. Maclin does end up taking it. He transitions a hangman spear into his finisher, the KIA. So he has Swann hanging upside down on one of the ring posts, spears him, and then hits the KIA. And that was awesome. That was a fun, great, I'm like, yeah, you don't see stuff like that often enough.
Spears no, it was really impressive. Now. It was really impressive. And yes, spears are too basic. They're overused, but I like the fact that Swann was wearing an Evel Knievel tribute outfit just because they were in Las Vegas,
Yeah,
that sort of thing. It was just nice, literally, to open up straight to a match that was a very fun match to watch.
Yes, exactly. And there's not much to say about it, but it served its purpose very well. Yep. After that, we went into a little. Or sorry, do you have anything else to say on it?
No, I was literally going to go into the next one.
Okay, so yeah, after that we have a little backstage interview with Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, Alicia Edwards, Moose, and I forget his name.
The football player.
The football player, yes. Neither one of us really.
Player, I forgot his name too.
Neither one of us are really big fans of American football. Me being Canadian, it's not the biggest sport up here. Let's be honest. And you being from the UK, you people calling it football drives you crazy. So
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's called American football.
There you go. I was gonna say American football originally, but
Yeah. And they announced the name of their stable, didn't they?
Yes, they announced themselves as the System because they're not a part of the System. They are the System.
Yeah, which is nice.
That's a good tagline, I will admit. Yeah. I like that. Moose and Myers have been a team for a while now, and they're a good team. Edwards and Myers have been teaming up last little while in TNA, so yeah, it makes sense to put them all together. Also, I love any faction that has female representation in the faction.
Yes, and I think having Alicia Edwards there just works really well. She's not just the partner of Eddie Edwards, she did feel like she fit into it, so it was nice touch.
Oh, absolutely. I think over the last like 2 years, Alicia has really stepped into her own as a wrestler. She's really evolved. I remember watching her at first and just being like, like it was rough. It was rough. It was she had a lot of kinks to work out, but now she's top notch.
Yes, I agree. She felt just very much the partner of Eddie Edwards. There was no real like storyline for her there or anything that drew as a fan drew me to her. You know.
For me, it's when she started going hardcore.
Yes, completely.
Yeah. So second match of the night, or no, sorry, before the second match, we get DJ Woo Kid and AJ Francis, formerly Top Dollar.
Yeah.
Dollar. Sorry.
Dollar.
Yeah. They're supposed to be previewing or showing off their music video for We Outside, but it gets interrupted by Joe Hendry.
Yep.
Which Joe Hendry is really hit and miss for me. Like sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. But I think this was really spot on. Like this was exactly what he should be doing, interrupting a musician with his own music video about the musician that he made, making fun of him for being the Cheez-It champion.
The Cheez-It champion, yeah.
Which was that was great.
AJ Cheez-It.
Yeah. The whole crowd started chanting AJ Cheez-It, and Joe Hendry didn't have to start it. It just happened naturally, and that's great. That's exactly what you want.
I love it when DJ Woo Kid threw his jacket into the audience. I was just thinking, how long until that's on eBay, and how much is it going to cost me?
Well, it has his name on it and everything. It's TNA jacket with his name embroidered in the back. So I mean, that's definitely going to stand out. And of course, AJ Francis got pissed off the whole ordeal, and he ends up hitting a choke slam on Hendry on top of a pile of Cheez-Its that are in the middle of the ring. Because Hendry I do love how it cut back to Hendry and Francis, and Hendry just had a box of Cheez-Its and was just munching on them.
It was perfect, wasn't it? It was just, I didn't even expect it, but the song itself was hilarious. And the music video to go along with it was just perfect as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. It was great. It's just a short little segment that I didn't think I was going to enjoy as much as I did.
I'm glad he wasn't on the main show. That's what I was kind of worried about, that it would be given too much on the main show.
Yeah.
It wasn't at all. It didn't even like outlast itself really. Didn't outlast its welcome. It was really entertaining to watch.
Well, it's probably about as long as we've been talking. The whole segment was about as long as we've been talking about it.
Yeah.
Like it was very short. It was exactly what it needed to be on the countdown. So that was good. Our second match of the night is a tag team match, which was a very standard classic style tag team match. I really enjoyed it. If you're a fan of tag team wrestling, this is what tag team wrestling is. So you had Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers, The System, officially now, taking on TNA veterans in Eric Young and Frankie Kazarian. In a surprise, it was an upset in my opinion.
I agree.
But at the same time, with them like establishing themselves as the system, they needed this win. So you have Eddie Edwards hits a backpack stunner on Kazarian, followed by the roster cut, followed by the Boston Knee Party on Kaz.
Yes, the backpack stunner that Edwards did was awesome, though.
Yes, earlier in the match, we had a backpack stunner elbow drop combo, which was fantastic. It looked so good. Perfect timing and transitioning. I also really liked... Eric Young is huge.
Yes.
He got so big since the last pay-per-view.
Yeah, since Bound for Glory is massive.
Which, like, yes.
Yeah.
You can... There's a couple of times throughout the night that I clocked it. Some of these guys have been taking the time off since Final Resolution to really, really work out, to hit the gym again, to get into perfect shape for this pay-per-view.
Yes.
We had a very, very near botch by Kaz. He went for his springboard leg drop that he does, and He saved it though really perfectly. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you could tell me that it was botched on purpose, because I'm under the opinion that wrestlers should do that from time to time, partially botch their moves because it makes wrestling more believable, and also when there is an actual botch, it is harder to clock that way.
Yeah.
I know it's not a popular opinion, but
well, it just shows that how much of a veteran he is in the industry. That he saved it, and it was a very last second save, like it was, and he still pulled off the move he was doing. It's really good.
Yes. And again, like, there's not much to say about this match either, but it was just a really good classic tag team match, exactly what it needed to be. So the first two matches are won by heels,
mm-hmm.
which is
with Kaz and Young losing. I couldn't believe it. I thought they were going to go TNA OGs, get the win, you know.
Absolutely.
But like you said, the system definitely needed to establish themselves right now.
Yes. If you're going to go out of your way to give them a name, give them a little promo section before the match, like, you're making them look pathetic if they don't win at that point.
Yeah.
Final match of the countdown. We had the Digital Media Championship, Tommy Dreamer defending against Crazy Steve in a no DQ match. I had very, very low expectations for this match.
Yeah, and it was a rematch, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
It was a rematch. The first match was Crazy Steve won the first match by DQ because Tommy Dreamer ended up using one of Crazy Steve's forks. So DQ, of course, champion retains. Which it's rare that you see a face champion winning a title match or losing a title match by DQ and retaining his title that way.
Yes.
So I will say that was an interesting element to the story. And this match, like the commentators mentioned at the beginning of the match, Tommy Dreamer lost 40 pounds for this match. And Dreamer hasn't moved like this or looked this good in years. Like,
no, I completely agree. In my notes, I've literally written how good Dreamer looks and how entertaining the match was.
Yeah, and like, I've been very vocal on this channel about how Tommy Dreamer should not be wrestling, and that was 2 years ago where I was saying this stuff, and I got to admit, like, this was fantastic. I don't know if it's because my expectations were so low that, like, almost anything would have been good, but they really did great. There were some good moments.
No, I don't think it was. I really think this has shown Tommy Dreamer, let's have his final little run, his, swan song or whatever it's called. Just let him go off now, do a couple of matches and let him end his career.
And he did some stuff that we haven't seen anybody do in a while. Like, he did the kendo stick suplex on Crazy Steve. And that was, I always loved that move.
Yeah, my jaw dropped when I saw that. I wasn't expecting it.
It was very masterfully done. Crazy Steve brought in a bag of forks at some point.
Yeah.
Which you could tell there were those silver plastic forks, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's fine. Whatever. It's wrestling. He ended up pouring a whole bunch of them on Tommy Dreamer when he's sitting in the corner, pushed them down Dreamer's shirt. Then he hits him with a cannonball before doing the Belladonna.
Mm-hmm.
Belladonna's Kiss, that's what he calls it, which is a diving tornado DDT. Which, man, how many people use moves like that still to this day? Like, it's such an I say old school because it's something you would have seen in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, right? So you don't see that stuff anymore.
No. And the fact that he's legally blind still blows my mind.
Yeah, his entrance with all the lights, like only having a couple little spotlights spinning here and there, barely any light on. It kind of made me think of House of Black, how AEW does their entrance. And he's wearing the mask, the tearaway mask that he has now, which it's so creepy.
Yeah.
It is so creepy looking.
He looks awesome. Coming out, I was, as a new digital media champion to like drive TNA forward. Yeah, perfect.
Yes, exactly. And hopefully, like, I've always been, in my opinion, that like TV championships, internet championships, digital media championship, the whole point of these belts is that their matches should be online for free. So hopefully that is something that TNA does going forward, that whenever we have a televised title defense, it ends up on the whole match ends up on their YouTube channel for free. Otherwise, what's the point? Otherwise,
I just want to take a second, like, how beautiful is the Digital Media Championship?
Yes. Talking about the new belts, of course.
Yeah.
Zebro's championship belts did an amazing job with this one. I think it's probably the nicest one out of the entire batch.
I agree.
It stands out so much. It looks like you had mentioned to me that it looks like a motherboard, and you're right, it does. It does just feel like a progression and evolution from the last digital media title.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was, again, overall, this was just a really good match. So like the countdown, if people were on the fence about buying the pay-per-view or watching this pay-per-view at all, like the countdown did an amazing job at selling it, in my opinion.
No, yeah, I agree. I don't think it gave you a bit of everything. You know, there was high spots in there, like the X Division, you had your power guys, you had your tag teams. I think the only thing that was missing from it was a knockout match, really. But with what they gave us, it was perfect.
I mean, it was jammed. It was such a tight countdown as well. Like they had no leeway. They had to get everything, all their spots on correctly. We even had the comedy segment. Like everything had to be spot on. And I think they did a great job. 3 heel wins on the countdown, which, like, to me, that's just foreshadowing for the night.
Yes. Yeah.
When you have 3 heel wins, I'm like, ooh, that's telling. So pay-per-view proper starts.
Yeah.
And it
Eric
starts
Young.
Yes, Eric Young's promo. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna lie, my feed cut out there for a few minutes, and I saw Eric Young come out. He started talking, and then the next thing I know, the Ultimate X match is starting.
Oh, the little video package they played with Eric Young was just, man, that guy's voice.
Yes.
That guy's voice is so intense. It's so deep and gruff. I'm just like, why don't we have him playing Batman in something animated? Like,
I love Eric Young. He's awesome.
Yeah, we had like the entire roster out on the stage just to welcome TNA back, essentially.
Yeah,
which is a nice touch.
And it was nice that they were all there for the entrances as well, for the contestants of the Ultimate X match.
Yes. This is only the second Knockouts Ultimate X match, and this encapsulates why TNA has always had one of, if not the best, women's divisions. But it felt like an X Division match.
Yes.
Which
from
was fantastic.
Start to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ultimate X, we have Tasha Steelz versus Dani Luna versus Giselle Shaw versus Alicia Edwards, Zia Brookside, who signed the moment after this match was done, versus Jody Threats. And you can kind of see certain things. Like everybody had their places, had their spots. Not spots as in like their moves and transitions. I mean spot as in like everybody had a job to do in this match, and they all executed it so well. So you had Jody Threats, she very much felt like the ring general of this match.
Yes.
Keeping everything on track, keeping everybody on their spots. She stood out to me for it. Dani Luna looked like an absolute monster in this match. I said it when this match started. We haven't seen enough of her. And what we had seen of her was stupid impressive. And this just, she blew all my expectations out of the water.
No, I agree. I was worried, with Deonna Purrazzo leaving TNA, I was kind of worried where they were going to go with their where they're knockouts division, but this match just showed they don't need big names because
No, they don't.
The talent they've got is incredible.
Yeah. Brookside really felt like the wild card of this match. You never knew what she was going to do. She was pulling out all sorts of interesting little things. Like her being the new member of the roster in this match really played to her advantage for that reason.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even if you are familiar with her work, like, because she's been everywhere, even if you are familiar with her work, like, she really pulled out some interesting stuff.
Jody Fred did that double F5.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was brutal. That's the thing. Yeah, I say Danny Luna was like the powerhouse of this match and had a lot of great powerhouse moments, but Jody Threat still pulled off a few moments like that of her own.
Yeah.
I
look forward to seeing Danny Luna and Jody Threat match off. That'll be good.
I think that'd be an amazing one-on-one. Alicia Edwards played the role of like that cunning, conniving, pick your moments, pick your spots heel. To a point where at some point she took out her kendo stick.
Yeah.
And just started going to town on people with it, and that was fantastic. Very well done. You had Tasha Steelz and Giselle Shaw that were kind of just playing, for the most part, they were playing support for this match. They were really just helping people out, making people look good. Tasha Steelz, like, they both had their moments still, of course. Tasha Steelz was the winner of the first Ultimate X match, which automatically makes her stand out a little bit, I think. And then Giselle Shaw pulls off the win.
Yes.
Knocking Danny Luna and who was the other person? Steelz. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
knocking
Steelz,
up Danny Luna and Steelz down from the ropes to grab the X. At some point, she like swung the X at Danny Luna to hit her in the face with it, and it looked so weak and pathetic, but it was very funny.
Yes.
I think everything was amazing about it.
Yeah.
When Brookside first got up there, she started shimmying her way over, but like she had her arms bent the whole time. I'm just like, man, the upper body strength it takes to do that is like ridiculous.
I wouldn't even be able to hang on, let alone like climb across like that.
Well, it's like what all I was thinking is like most of the guys that have like really intense upper body strength that we've seen in these kind of matches, even they don't shimmy over like that. They're shimmying over and they're fully dangling or they're upside down when using their legs. So that was impressive. This match had so many dives to the outside, people jumping off the truss, people jumping off the turnbuckles. At some point, you had Alyssa hanging on Jody Threat's back as Jody Threat was climbing, and they just threw each other off and fell down to a pile of bodies. It was just chaos. It's X Division chaos.
That's literally it took what everything made X Division great back then and brought it into the Knockouts division. Not just showing that TNA is not just X Division, it's also about the Knockouts, and that was fine work there.
Absolutely. I feel like this is a great launching off point. Like, let the Knockouts roster get a little bit bigger, and I feel like they could actually justify having a Knockouts X Division title at this point.
Yeah.
So Giselle Shaw won the X Division title, won the X Division match, meaning that she has a future opportunity for the Knockouts World Championship.
Yeah.
So
and then we went into PCO versus Dirty Dango.
Yeah. I ended up missing pretty much this entire match because I had to deal with my kids. So I'll let you go on this one.
So PCO versus Dirty Dango. Dirty Dango comes out with Alpha Bravo and
Oleg.
I can't remember. Yeah, and basically the three of them beat him down. Santina Morella comes out, calls Alpha Bravo Alphabet Bravo, which made me laugh. And then says, well, Rhino makes the save, and then for PCO, and then Santina Morella comes out and says, okay, it's going to be a 3-on-3 match. Brings Jake something out. This match, the whole PCO versus Dirty Dango, I said to you before, So I don't understand why it's on the main card.
I agree.
This is why it was very entertaining. You know, just big brawly men fighting off, and PCO at the age of like 2,000,005 or something, still diving to the outside. You know, is absolutely insane. It really was. Yeah, PCO gets the win. The crowd pop for Rhino. Yeah, when he got into the ring, and everyone's just shouting, "Gore, gore, gore," and it was just.
It doesn't matter how old Rhino gets; everybody loves him.
I've never seen a crowd pop for him like that in a long time, though, since ECW.
Fair. I've always loved them. I don't know.
Yeah, I've always loved Rhino. But yeah, no, absolutely just what you expect match. Not too long, and showed Jake something in that strength like that is being portrayed in at the moment.
I just caught the tail end of the match. I only really saw like the very end, and I did get to see PCO's entrance, which I love the fade to black and like the cut to black and white. All the doctors shocking his chest. It's like, yeah, that was so over the top theatrical. I was like, yep, yes, there we go. This is wrestling.
Yeah. It was nice. Again, nothing too much to say about the whole match itself. No. It was just what it was. I don't want to call it a filler match, but it was entertaining.
No, it was just a little trios match. Gave some guys who didn't have anything else to do. Gave some guys on the roster who didn't really have anything else to do something to do. Yeah. Which I do like how they ended up squeezing the entire roster on this pay-per-view.
Yes.
So going after saying that, of course, we got the surprise that MK Ultra, Killer Kelly, and Masha Slamovich were going to be defending their Knockouts tag titles, which the new Knockouts tag titles are. They look very similar to the new men's tag titles, but they're just different enough to stand out. I think they look very nice. I would have liked it if it wouldn't be the same red on the straps as the men's tag belts. I think a nice, like, very pale pastel red would have been nicer, just to make them stand out more. But overall, great looking belts.
At least they're not just pink.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's something that people on the indie scene go for a little too quickly.
Yeah,
is pink belts for girls, and I'm like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, But MK Ultra ended up defending against Decay. We had Jessica Havoc and Rosemary, not the Death Dolls, not Jessica and Courtney Rush. We had Rosemary and Havoc.
Yeah, and again, very entertaining match. Nice to see DK back.
Oh,
do you think they're going to team up with Crazy Steve?
I hope so. But I think there's a story element that they can do there anyway, because Steve tried coming to them while they were still doing the Death Dolls thing. He tried talking to them and tried coming to them, and they kind of just brushed him off.
Yeah.
That was right before the spiraling descent to become the new Crazy Steve that he is now. Yeah. So he could just tell them to go screw themselves. But I think it would be great to see all three of them walking together with their titles.
Yes.
Because Decay dethroned MK Ultra and took the belts.
Again, MK Ultra are amazing, aren't they?
They're so good. And they had the belts for quite a while at this point, long enough. I know, like, the Knockouts tag division has been a little odd. I feel like it started off really strong because we had the Inspiration being like the first champions, basically, and then it kind of petered out since then. It's just kind of like, I feel like they've lost a lot of credibility because the Knockouts tag division just hasn't had enough talent in it.
No, I agree. There's always only like one tag team and two thrown together.
Yeah, and Masha and Killer Kelly started that way, as two people just thrown together, but they were those two, like, their story was the two rivals who built so much respect for each other by destroying each other.
Yeah.
And I've always loved that. I've always loved that that storyline angle to put two people together. The ending of the match was an assisted power bomb from powerbomb being done by Havoc, and Rosemary literally just slides into the ring, coming out of nowhere, and just pushes down on the sit-out powerbomb. It was fantastic, and she just kept going. she slides in, hits the assist on the sit-out powerbomb, and he just jumps out of the ring basically to stop. I don't remember who got pinned. I think it was Kelly.
No, I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was Kelly.
I think Kelly got the pin, so she slides out and just deals with Masha right away. Fantastic. And again, this was another short match. But I feel like it was it really was. I don't think they were trying to surprise us with this match. I feel like it was a last-minute match.
No, I agree.
It felt that way anyway.
I honestly, with like the release of the title belts and stuff, I felt like they forgot about the Knockouts division ones until the Knockout Tag Team ones until like last minute, and it was like, oh yeah, we got those titles as well.
Well, I ended up finding the release schedule that they had announced. They had announced like what time the belts were going to be announced at on social media and all that stuff every day of the week, and I found it odd that the Knockouts tag belts it was like Thursday Knockouts World Title, Friday nothing, Saturday Knockouts tag titles, and I was like, why is it being announced on Saturday? And it was announced. The little video package for those belts was late.
Yeah.
It did not air at the time they said it would, so I don't know. Maybe they decided to throw this match in the last second. Maybe it was planned all along, but either way, it was good.
Just before the match, we saw somebody get out of a car.
Oh yes, that's true. We saw someone get out of a car.
Yeah.
Female talent. That's all we knew.
Yes.
After this, this was, I assume, the announcement of Worlds Will Collide.
Yes. The big signing is what I feel like this is.
It has to be. I mean, like, the ending, the big ending, I'm assuming, like, that some people will say that could be what it was. But I feel like this is bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to be spending more time talking about this than what some other people have because I have theories. So Scott D'Amore comes out with Dorian Penne or Penna, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, who is the CEO of Lucha Libre AAA.
Yeah.
They've always had a good working relationship. TNA and them, no problems. And you know, they AAA has had a good working relationship with multiple promotions. They have a good working relationship with AEW as well. But they went out of their way to do a contract signing on screen for this partnership at this point. And I feel like that's solidifying something on another level.
Yeah.
I feel like with AEW, who's been working a little bit more with CMLL lately, I just feel like maybe this means no more AAA and AEW working together. Vikingo has been...
I want to say that's what it is. But on the other hand, it's like, would any company do that to themselves, cut themselves away from AEW at the moment?
I feel like Tony Khan has been rubbing a lot of the... Tony Khan rubs a lot of the people who have been working in this industry the wrong way.
Yes.
I do enjoy AEW for the most part. There are elements I really don't like. There are elements I don't care for at all. But I mean, it's wrestling, of course. Any promotion you watch, there's going to be things you don't like because it's not... There's no way all the content that any promotion puts out is going to be tailored for an individual. There's things on the show that I don't like that I know other people do. But I do feel like Tony Khan at times doesn't get it. Like, he very much, it feels like he wants to do his own thing, kind of just like break down some rules, like of just some basic respect rules of how pro wrestling works amongst promoters, in my opinion. And I feel like Scott D'Amore saying the line of like, this is what happens when you put backstage politics second and put the fans first. I feel like that's very telling.
Yeah.
Vikingo has been a part of AEW for quite a while now. And he's been fantastic on that program. He's been doing all kinds of crazy matches with them. And he wins. He gets wins all the time. But it always felt like he was just an afterthought. Like he's just there. He's just there.
But that's an AEW issue. That's a collector. We'll talk about that on a different episode. But
yeah, we can go to that another time. There's enough to talk about tonight. But I'm going to be curious to see if basically the two staples of AAA that have been in AEW are Vikingo and Commander. And I am curious to see if those two are going to be as prevalent in AEW as they were before this. But all of this is to set up the X Division title match with El Hijo del Vikingo versus Kushida versus the defending champion Chris Sabin.
Yes.
And again, another short match, but oh my god.
It was nonstop.
It was insanity. The dives, the throwing one guy, like Kushida gets thrown into the corner at Vikingo, turns the Irish whip into a monkey flip on Vikingo. Vikingo turns that into a Hurricane Rana on Sabin. Everything was just so synchronized between these three. It was insane. It really lived up to the idea of Worlds Collide, with having Sabin one of the best of this style of wrestling for North America. Kushida absolutely being one of the best Japanese cruiserweight style guys that have been around in a long time. And then Vikingo is, there's a reason why he's been the AAA Mega Champion for so long. This guy is just crazy.
Yeah. And again, if this is your first time watching TNA and what you've seen of the X Division so far is the Ultimate X match and then the X Division title match, oh my god, there's nothing else on TV like it.
And like Hannigan said it at some point, he goes, it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. And I'm like, yes, because this match, that's always been the X Division's tagline, and this match really, really put that up there and showed you what X Division is all about. I was excited as a fan of X Division. Like, I was so excited by this match the entire time. I literally have no notes written for this match because I was just too busy staring at the screen.
I don't think I could have written my notes quick enough. I'm literally the same.
No, yeah.
It was just go.
Yeah, and the highlights from this match are all over Facebook, all over YouTube. Like, these are the highlights that I'm seeing more than anything else is the highlights from this match. That, like, specifically the Canadian Destroyer on the entrance ramp.
Yeah.
That move is so brutal. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Probably one of my second favorite Canadian Destroyers I've seen after Scott D'Amore's. Like, that was the top one.
It was really good. It was clean. It was pretty and brutal.
Yeah.
The match ends when Sabin hits a cradle shock in Kushida to retain the title.
Yes.
This is not long after that Canadian Destroyer on the ramp, which that Canadian Destroyer took Vikingo out of the match. As it should. Like, you never would have seen, AEW never would have done that. AEW would have been like, oh, just another Canadian Destroyer on the outside.
And I think that's the problem with these powerful moves in wrestling now. They're not protected anymore.
Yeah. We're going to have a little conversation about protecting big moves a little later in this episode, for sure.
Yes.
So after this, we get Alex Hammerstone versus Josh Alexander. This is apparently the second time they've ever faced each other anywhere. And the first time was a draw between the two of them. And I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This match kind of felt like Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle back in the day.
Yes.
You called it. You called it. Like it was such a brutal exchange. This is big man power wrestler versus technical submission wrestler to its finest. Yeah. I hope Hammerstone does end up signing to TNA because he's so good. There's a reason why MLW has had like their claws in him for as long as they have. They knew what they had with this guy, and they're I'm sure Court Bauer is going to try to keep him as long as he can.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, but even though you say like Josh, the technical wrestler, he still did some power moves like the suplex absolutely. On the apron to, which we all know is the hardest part of the ring, on the apron to Hammerstone, just incredible.
Oh, it was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, the backbreaker onto the apron from Hammerstone looked absolutely devastating. It was disgusting, to be honest. And you saw like the crowd react to it. The commentators reacted to it exactly the same way you and I reacted to it.
Yeah.
At some point, Hammerstone transitions a gorilla press into like a tilt-a-whirl power slam out of nowhere.
I thought that was the end of the match.
Yeah, right? Like, it was really just crazy looking. But the story of the match really was how Josh just focused on Hammerstone's ankle the entire match.
And the way Hammerstone sold it as well. You know, like collapsing at one point and
collapsing at some point. The way he was walking, like a lot of guys, I feel when they do like a leg injury, they always kind of walk the same wobbly way. Like if there's something wrong with like the muscle more than anything else. But Hammerstone, like it looked like he was tippy-toeing on his left foot most of the match. Like he was just walking on the toes, not putting any weight on the heel whatsoever. Really well done. The match ends with the C4 spike.
Yeah.
And it was like, again, like they reversed, the C4 got reversed, and then Josh went for it again and ended up planting it this time. And for a second, I thought Hammerstone might kick out. But it was, oh man. Which I would have been okay with that match going a little longer.
Yeah, no, I agree.
What you want. That's exactly what you want. Leave them wanting more. They did their job fantastically. This was great.
And it's, again, a great debut for Hammerstone. You know, I know MLW, you know, over, I'm not sure how big it is over in America and Canada, but it's not over here. People don't know who he is. No. You know, unless you're a wrestling fan, he's not a person.
Well, MLW really is like it more than anything else, it's a YouTube thing. Like, I'm not trying to downplay how good it is. They've had some incredible talent throughout the years. Mm-hmm. But it is very much like a YouTube promotion.
Yeah.
So only people like you and I, like hardcore wrestling fans, we're the ones watching stuff like MLW. And there's some fantastic stuff out there. Don't just watch TNA, AEW. Like, please, people, go check out some of the other stuff, because when people show up, when you've been watching something like MLW for a year or two, or you've been watching House of Glory, and then someone like Swerve Strickland showing up in AEW, Hammerstone showing up in TNA, trust me, as a fan, the feeling that you get when you see these guys on the bigger stages after watching them on these smaller promotions like this, it's worth it. It's absolutely.
That was like Nick Aldis when he debuted for WWE, and just the way they debuted him was, in my eyes, completely wrong. It was like no one was going to know who he was, and the fact that they didn't give him that entrance or anything, they just brought him up from the commentators table. I know you don't watch WWE, but
no, I don't.
I don't watch it very often, but because it was Aldis, I was like, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot, and it wasn't
fair.
It wasn't what it should have been.
No, that's unfortunate. say what you will about Aldis. I do think he's very much. I do think he's great.
Yeah.
Only a few matches left after this. We go into the tag team fatal 4-way match. This is technically the Rascals' contractually obligated rematch, which I hate those with a burning passion. I feel like they shouldn't be there unless there's a reason for contractual rematches to exist. There needs to be a precedence for why this team gets a contractual rematch. So we have the Rascals versus the Grizzled Young Vets, James Drake and Zach Gibson making their TNA debut, versus Mike Bailey and Laredo Kid, because unfortunately Trent Seven was not able to make it due to travel restrictions or travel issues. I know there was a huge storm in my part of Canada that night, so like I was so worried about my feed dropping for this pay-per-view so many times because of the storm. And of course, the champions ABC, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay.
Yes.
This was another just it started off a little slow.
Yeah.
I will say, like, the Rascals came in extremely tactfully throughout this match. Like, they knew exactly, like, they were looking for opportunities, looking for spots. They were hitting so many moves in unison and in tandem with each other. Absolutely fantastic. Grizzled Young Vets were the ring, like they took over this match. For the longest time they were in charge of this match. They had complete control over who was getting tagged in and out. They kept finding ways to get back into the match no matter what. They were hungry.
They were, yeah.
They're like they had something to prove. This being their debut, they had something to prove. They absolutely did. This was fantastic outing and debut for them. Bailey and Laredo Kid, unfortunately, didn't really stand out.
They had
I feel
a few
like,
nice tag team moves.
yeah. I feel like they kind of, I'm hoping that if it would have been Trent Seven, they had more planned for them in this match. And then ABC playing the fan favorite baby faces that had to somehow find a way to come out on top.
I love ABC.
Same. Ace Austin and Chris Bay.
One of my favorite tag teams at the moment.
Yeah. And both of them are from the Las Vegas area. They both made their names in the Las Vegas area, and it shows with this crowd.
Yes.
Oh my God, the crowd loved them so much. It didn't matter what they would do. The crowd was freaking out for them the entire time.
Yeah.
They do retain by pinning Miguel. They hit the Art of Finesse followed by it's the Ace Cutter followed by the Art of Finesse. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah. It was just great. Another fast-paced, crazy go match in tonight's pay-per-view. Which after the last couple of matches, I feel like we like this was the perfect thing to really follow after that insane X Division match.
Yes, completely. Josh and Hammerstone really showed power this again. It really built up to the I'm going to call it double main event, really.
Yeah. I will say that the before last match, the Knockouts World Championship match, might have been like, other than the 6-man tag, I think this was the weakest match on the card.
Yes.
And that's not supposed to be insulting, because it was just a fantastic pay-per-view overall. Everybody pulled out all the stops all night long. I just didn't really care for it. I kind of had a feeling too.
Yeah, my biggest problem is the fact that Trinity is rumored to be leaving TNA.
Yeah.
And going back to WWE, I felt like I knew that Jordynne Grace was going to win. I may be wrong. That may just be a rumor, but I felt like Jordynne Grace was just going to win.
Yeah. So before the match starts, they did reveal who the woman that we saw earlier in the night was.
Mm-hmm.
Iceman escorted Ash by Elegance.
Yes.
Former Dana Brooke.
Dana Brooke, yeah.
I don't think many people are going to be that excited about it, to be honest.
No.
I kind of am. I've always liked Dana Brooke. I've always thought that she was underutilized, that she was put in a jobber position in WWE, and I always felt like that was fairly unjust of them.
No, again, I agree with that, yeah.
I feel like she has a lot of potential. Hopefully that TNA can do something different with her, make her stand out, and she gets that opportunity to show people how good she really is. But the match itself, I have a major issue with one specific moment in this match, and this is what I alluded to earlier. Jordynne Grace hits a muscle buster on Trinity, and it's just another move.
Yeah.
Like, there was no big, like, Trinity could barely, like, she goes for the pin, gets a 2, and Trinity doesn't, like, struggle to get up after the pin, doesn't, like, there's no, like, they didn't sell the move correctly. The muscle buster is such a big move. There are no women who do that move other than Jordynne Grace.
Yeah.
And when someone like Samoa Joe does the muscle buster, he doesn't win matches with it very often anymore. But it is such a devastating killer move anyway. Like, it doesn't
Especially in
matter.
the history of TNA.
Yes. I compared it to kicking out of a muscle buster in TNA. I compared it to kicking out of a burning hammer in Japan. It feels wrong. It just feels wrong. I don't care for Jordynne Grace very much as a wrestler. I think she's fine. I don't think there's anything, like, other than her physique. There's nothing really spectacular about her, in my opinion. She's kind of basic and formulaic, and I feel bad saying that, but that's how I feel about her. I'm just not a fan.
No, I can understand that. She hasn't really evolved. Like, I know like the way she looks has changed, but from her first starting in TNA, well, Impact Wrestling, to where she is now, I understand she's got the looks, but she doesn't have the personality in my eyes. The she's not charismatic enough.
Yeah. Maybe her leaving for bodybuilding. Like, that's the transitioning in looks. She left wrestling for bodybuilding for a little while there. Maybe that's why her moveset hasn't evolved quite as much. But still, I was disappointed. I was kind of just disappointed that this was the Knockouts World Title match. Period.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, Jordynne Grace is challenging Trinity. Oh, okay. I think Trinity is a similar story to Dana Brooke. Trinity was eventually given opportunities in WWE, but it took way too long for them to acknowledge how good she was, and for them to actually give her those opportunities.
Yeah.
The one thing I will give Jordynne Grace is Trinity had her in the Starstruck, and she just stood up and hit Trinity with a driver, and I'm like, yep, okay, that was cool.
That was really good. Again, if I'm going to compare it to the other two Knockouts matches on the card, it's nowhere near as good as either of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's hard to compete with something like an Ultimate X, period.
Yeah.
And yeah, the tag match was much shorter, but just much better overall. The tag match was just bam, 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 go, go, go. Maybe it's a pacing thing for this match. Maybe it was a pacing thing primarily. That
I think the problem was I lost interest before the match even started with the rumors of Trinity leaving back to WWE.
Yeah.
And then the match felt a bit too long for me to even enjoy it, really. No, it's not I didn't enjoy the match, but like proper invest in the match.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Mm.
You were on social media a little bit before this match, and you did end up seeing that Bailey, Mercedes Moné, a handful of
And Bailey.
people. Yeah,
Yes,
a
yes.
handful of
So they're saying
WWE
it's
people
rumors at
over
the
there.
moment, but if you look at the pictures, it's definitely Mercedes Moné and definitely Bailey. They've got their hoods up, glasses on. You know, respect to TNA for not putting them on the camera.
Absolutely, they were hiding behind the French commentary table
Yeah.
up in the VIP sections. Like it was,
But
yeah,
much love to them for giving support to one of their friends. You know.
absolutely, absolutely. So now we're gonna go into the main event.
Yeah.
Quickly though, the knockout belt.
Yes.
I will say transitioning the name from Knockouts Champion to Knockouts World Champion. It's all you needed for me. I'm so happy with that.
Yeah.
Also, women's belts being white straps just looks right.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, I
I
completely
I don't
agree.
know what it is. I don't know what it is, but every time I see a women's title with a white strap, I just go yes.
And it's also like back to the old TNA women's knockouts title. Sorry, that was a
Yes.
white strap as well.
Yep.
Very nice there. Very nice.
Um. So main event of the night: Alex Shelley defending the TNA World Championship, which was again a very pretty belt.
Yeah.
Against Moose.
Yeah. Let's just talk about the belt for a moment.
Yeah.
Not as nice as the big gold belt in my eyes, but I like how it's a mixture between the two. You
It
know, the
it
big gold TNA belt and the Impact World title. It's like they've joined them together, and it's still very pretty.
it is. It stands out. When you put a bunch of world titles together, I do feel like it does still stand out. Nothing stands out like the X Division title. um,
Yeah.
I will say that the X Division title, no matter what you do, always stands out. It's just such a striking belt. But yeah, it is a beautiful blend of the big gold TNA belt and the Impact Anthem style belt. I'm a
Yeah.
little sad that we don't have owls on all the belts anymore.
There's a side plate with an owl on it now.
Yeah, there's a little Anthem logo
Yeah.
on all of them, but I like owls a lot for some reason. They're like my favorite, one of my favorite animals of all time, and just having an owl on every belt, a different owl on every belt, was just something I could just point at and be like, yeah. Um, but anyway, um, Moose versus Shelley was a picture perfect David versus Goliath match.
Yes.
Um, it's exactly what I wanted out of this match. I wanted Shelley to look strong from just never giving up, never staying down, getting up over and over and over and over and taking hits and taking hits and taking hits. And he took some nasty spots throughout the entire match. The stuff to the outside, just everything, man. Like Moose was unrelenting. You had Shelley at some point just rolling up Moose over and over again, trying for a bunch of quick pins, and just been like, big hit, pin, big hit, pin, big hit, pin, roll them up, this, like just going and going and going. It really showed that Moose is a massive threat.
Mm-hmm.
And Shelley knew that and wasn't taking him lightly. I feel like all of Shelley's other title defenses, Shelley went in pretty cocky, right?
Yes.
Like against Josh, he went in going like, Josh is a fantastic wrestler, but he knows he could stand toe to toe technically with Josh. When it came to Steve Macklin, he wasn't worried at all. When it came to Tanahashi, that match was like basically, that was an interesting match because you got Shelley defeating one of his own mentors.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like in that match, he had something to prove. So again, he had to come off as kind of cocky and arrogant a little bit. But against Moose, it really felt like he was extremely calculated, extremely careful the entire match, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, fighting an uphill battle.
Absolutely. Moose was just an indomitable monster this entire match. And Moose is another guy that looks really, really good going into this match. Like physically, he looks great at this moment.
Moose always looks great. Like
he does,
and he plays such a fantastic heel.
Yeah. At some point in the match, we did get the rest of the system come out and try to cause a little distraction, to which we saw Kushida and Sabin come out, the other members of Time Machine, which is nice to see Kushida and Sabin.
D'Angelo Williams.
That's his name.
Yeah, the footballer.
Yeah. The footballer. It is nice to see Kushida and Sabin are still like on the same page, despite Sabin having pinned Kushida in the prior match. So it was just really good. Really enjoyed it. I think, what was it? Moose reverses 2 shell shocks.
Yes. Yeah.
Before hitting the spear. And that spear came out of nowhere. It was very just like bam. Very
completely
quick,
out of
very
nowhere
sudden.
as well.
Yeah. I don't like the spin on Moose's like how Moose does the little roll with his spear. I never liked it.
We spoke about this when watching it the other day, and I said no, I agree. But after thinking about it, I do disagree, because it sets it apart from everyone else. Like if you look at WWE, Roman Reigns does the spear. You know how many people are known for the spear as a move. You know, you've got Edge, Roman Reigns, the list goes on. Yeah. But Moose's, no one else does it like that, and it sets it apart. And I think that's what, like, you remember that bit. And if you're a fan of WWE or AEW watching TNA for the first time, and you see Moose do that spin at the end, you're like, oh, what's that?
Yeah, it's gonna make it stand out. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I like the little. I do like how it gives him an opportunity to do a little like pounce to get to the pin.
Yeah.
I've always felt like it was just so dangerous to do that for some reason. The amount of times where it's looked like Moose was going to break his neck doing that. But that's my personal opinion on it, I guess. So yeah, Moose is the new world champion after the pay-per-view.
But the one thing that got me was when he got introduced, he said one-time TNA champion. But that's not true. He had the TNA title just after he had the Impact title.
Does it count if you're a self-declared champion? He found the belt in the back somewhere and just put it on. Come on.
Well, that's like saying, does Hook count as the FTW champion?
Is that even a real belt?
And then you've got the hardcore champion where Al Snow just found it once.
Yeah, but that's Al Snow. You're gonna disagree? Yeah. You could no, it's Al Snow. He's allowed to do that.
No, yeah.
That was at the height of him talking to the head of a doll. I mean, you can't argue it crazy. So, Moose was just delusional and narcissistic. There's a difference.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So
after the match,
we get one more big surprise as everything right before everything fades, and we get what's the nickname they gave him? Like the most wanted man or something like that.
The most wanted free agent.
No, they posted it on their social media yesterday or today. I'm not sure. I forget. Unfortunately.
Have you seen Nick Nemeth's TNA t-shirt that's out now that you can buy?
Yeah.
It reminds me of Saved by the Bell.
It kind of does. But to be fair,
I saw it and I was like, Saved by the Bell. And
that was always Dolph Ziggler's aesthetic.
Saved by the Bell? Oh, yeah.
When he was in WWE, that was always his aesthetic. So Nick Nemeth, of course, he's been making a lot of waves in New Japan, alongside of Matt Riddle and Mustafa Ali, which maybe we'll be seeing those two show up as well eventually. You know, like that'd be nice. Yeah. But Nick Nemeth saying TNA is where I'm going to be in America is a huge deal. It's a big win, in my opinion.
Yes. I know he signed exclusively to TNA in America.
He has, yes.
He has.
I think so, yes. I know a lot of people are going to be making the comment that we've heard a million times. Oh, mid-Carter in WWE, world champion in TNA. I'm sure we're going to hear it.
Yeah.
Like Christian Cage, when he first went to TNA, we heard it about him. And Christian Cage is probably one of the best. Like Christian Cage's TNA World Title run was great in my opinion. Both of them.
Yeah,
Both of them.
fantastic. And even what Christian Cage is doing, like, look, he went back to WWE, became a mid-carder again, and I'm not going to say he's a main eventer in AEW, but what he's doing in AEW at the moment is so entertaining.
I strongly believe that what Christian Cage is doing at the moment, it's probably the most entertaining part of AEW for me personally at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yes, I'm a Canadian and I'm a massive fanboy for Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. I love those two very, very much. But Cage has just been doing fantastic ever since he got to AEW, in my opinion.
I think with Nick Nemeth as well, if you want to say this is the biggest signing in TNA,
I think it qualifies.
The problem is people and myself are comparing it to the likes of Sting, the likes of Jeff Hardy, Kurt Angle, even let's go Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Mick Foley. Yeah,
I suppose a lot of people are going to be comparing it to that.
But if you want to say biggest signing TNA could make at the moment, then what are your choices? You've got Okada, but truthfully, again, unless you're and I know more casual wrestling fans know who he is, but unless you know wrestling, you don't know. Like, my son's a wrestling fan; he doesn't know who Okada is. No,
that's fair.
Yeah, and then you've got what Mercedes Moné, which, don't get me wrong, I was really hoping it was but again, I feel like she's AEW bound.
Everybody does.
Yeah, and then the only other person I could think of would be Bill Goldberg, but do you really want a 50-odd-year-old man being the person to come in? And there's no way he's going to come in and not want a world title shot. And is he someone that you want as your face of this rebranded, again, fresh and useful company with so much hype around it? I think Nick Nemeth is the one. He's great signing.
Absolutely agree. Also, if you got Goldberg coming in while Moose was world champion, you'd know there'd be some kind of stupid longest yard. Like, there'd be some comparison to football in some way coming up, and I'm sure of it. And I'm just not for it. But overall, pay-per-view is absolutely fantastic. If you had to pick a match of the night, what would you go with?
Ultimate X match.
I'd give it to the X Division triple threat.
That's fair.
Those two matches were next level for me. But again, we're both massive fans of the X Division and everything that X Division represents. I'm a fan of women's wrestling in general, and I feel like TNA has gotten it right more often than any other promotion in all of North America.
No, I completely agree, and I feel like they've tried so many different things. They're not worried about doing a wedding scene where someone gets murdered. They're not worried about sending a knockout to jail for a few years until she comes back from WWE to, and they've got that kind of like, I'm all for comedy wrestling. Yeah.
Yes.
And to have that in with the amazing abilities that they've got, fantastic.
I absolutely agree. I will say, when they did the Taya joke about her going to jail and then coming back to like, oh yeah, she did that time in Stanford, and I was just like, ha ha ha.
Yeah,
that was good.
It was very good. The only thing the pay-per-view for me was missing was some old school appearances, just some throwbacks.
I don't feel like it was the right time for that.
I would have just liked, okay, this is going to be proper out there, but a nod from a couple of old wrestlers, like, it's your turn to take the torch now.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that I can agree with. Like, if Sting would have been there watching the show in the crowd, like, that would have been like, wow. Kurt Angle, or like even Christian Cage. Like, of course, it would like destroy his character that he's playing in AEW right now if he would have done that. But that kind of, someone to that caliber being at ringside, watching, or even like coming on commentary for a match.
Yeah, just passing that torch from the old guards. I know right now we've got the old guards of TNA. To me, right now is Kazarian and Eric Young.
Yes, they totally represent the old guard very much. Motor City Machine Guns do as well, but
the problem is with Motor City Machine Guns, they're two of your champions. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So you kind of couldn't put them in that position.
Yeah. So really, it needs to be, you know, yes, Sting would have been perfect. Sting and Kurt Angle, even just a backstage moment talking to, it could ABC. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that would.
You're the
cool.
future now. You're the future. Crack on.
Yeah.
You know.
I would have loved to have had someone like Taz show up to do like commentary on a match.
Oh,
just like to have a third commentary on a single match, having Taz there to just talk about how much TNA has grown. That would have been fun too. I feel like things like that are easier to do. But maybe with the whole AAA TNA thing, like we said earlier, maybe that's maybe anything to do with AEW is not a possibility, because we both said it when TNA, well, Impact at the time, had their deal with AEW. AEW gained a lot from that, and TNA got nothing out of it.
Yes, completely.
They got absolutely nothing out of it. All they got was Kenny Omega walking around with their belt on AEW TV.
Kenny Omega did some good matches.
Yeah, sure.
But
sure.
He didn't even drop the title to an Impact star.
No, he did not. He dropped the belt to somebody that was signed to AEW.
Yeah.
And I love Christian Cage, but yeah.
That let it down. That destroyed that storyline for me.
It did. Moose should have been the one to beat Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to see Moose as champion of this new, like starting off the new era of TNA as champion. Moose is the right choice.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why I didn't have any of the old TNA stars to just say, you know, this is what you're going to get from TNA. Maybe, you know, there's so many, you know, there's the next couple of shows they're recording are quite, you know, they're not just Impact Wrestling, they're Snake Eyes or whatever the next one is, and you know,
I think it's just Snake Eyes and everything, and then they've announced the next pay-per-view in March.
Yeah.
But like they're doing TV tapings after that. There will be TV tapings between Snake Eyes and that. Snake Eyes looks like it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see it. To see TNA's Impact episodes, because that's where we're going to be getting the Snake Eyes event, and I think that's a great move as well.
And I saw today Explosion's coming back.
Apparently, Explosion's coming back. We'll see if that's. I don't know. I've always felt weird about Explosion. I've always felt like it was just kind of pointless, but
it was always a B show. I'm hoping they'll make it more of an A show.
Yeah, I'm hoping they do a little bit more with it. A little bit more.
Even if it's just an hour long, but it still has, you know, less talking. I don't want to see Iceman. You know, I just want some matches. You know, give us an established TNA star versus a nobody. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to. It was a great way to show off new talent.
Yeah,
it really was. Anyway, guys, we're gonna let you guys go for this week. We'll be back talking about Snake Eyes and talking about TNA on a regular basis from now on.
Yeah,
so please like, share, subscribe. Stick around with us as me and Jay continue to talk about probably both of our favorite promotions.
Definitely.